Signal, track Mike. Area was shot. Reaction now.
The body of the first American killed in combat since the bombings began has been recovered. Good evening and welcome to NewsCenter at 9:30. I'm Kylie Gandalf.
And I'm Dustin Grove. The first American combat casualty in Afghanistan is recovered, but he wasn't in the military. The body of CIA officer Johnny Spann was found in a military prison in northern Afghanistan. He's the first American killed in combat since U.S. bombing began almost 2 months ago. The CIA says Spann was killed in a riot by Taliban soldiers. He had been in Afghanistan for about 6 weeks. And another type of American soldier is near Afghan ground tonight. Members of the 10th U.S. Mountain Division will fly in, part of a group of about 1,000 soldiers, to provide security at an air base in Uzbekistan. Military leaders say the soldiers will serve as quick support in case of renewed Taliban resistance. The only other U.S. ground troops known to be in Afghanistan are Marines, who are setting up a base near Kandahar, Afghanistan.
In confusion from Ground Zero tonight, according to New York City Medical Examiner, the body of 23-year-old firefighter Christopher Santora was mistakenly identified as another man. That other man's family buried Santora on October 1st. Now, his body will be exhumed and his own family will hold a memorial service on Saturday. Medical examiners have so far identified 453 people. This is their first mix-up. A new word tonight on Osama bin Laden. A senior anti-Taliban commander says he's 90% sure bin Laden is hiding in the eastern mountains of Afghanistan. The commander thinks bin Laden is in a cave fortress known as Tora Bora. Tora Bora is a narrow valley only accessible by foot. It's 3 hours from the nearest road. The U.S. built the cave in the 1980s to house anti-Soviet forces.
To Europe now, reports of problems tonight from Bonn, Germany, where the United Nations is deciding how to form a post-Taliban government. Delegates say the Northern Alliance is rejecting a proposed multinational security force for Afghanistan. Jim Bitterman has more outside Bonn.
A quick early success, but still a long way to go. Delegates from both the Northern Alliance and a group which supports the former Afghan king confirm the two factions now agree that the first step toward government should be a transitional council of between 120 and 200 members. That council would then pick the members of an interim government to run the country. A joint committee of the delegates to the conference here is currently working on selecting a list of people for the council. They hope to have a full list assembled by the end of the conference here. But there's a hang-up that's yet to be resolved. Supporters of the former king say the council, which would meet in Kabul, can only go to work if the capital becomes a neutral zone with security assured by an international force.
An acceptable perimeter around Kabul should be demilitarized in order for the government to be able to go in there and function. UN peacekeeping force should come into that region to establish security.
But in a news conference earlier, the delegate from the Northern Alliance, which controls Kabul, disagreed.
We do not see the necessity for foreign forces to be posted in Afghanistan. You are all witnessing that security is being maintained in the country. In case there is a need to protect a new political structure, we prefer that a security force be composed of various Afghan ethnic groups.
For the moment, the security issue has been put aside at the talks, apparently too divisive for now. And other issues have yet to be addressed. The exact role of the former king is not clear. In an apparent rebuff, the Northern Alliance negotiator said the alliance puts its trust not in individuals but institutions. And just as murky in the mountaintop meetings here is to what extent seats in the council and interim government will be allocated on the basis of ethnic or tribal background. Still, one insider at the closed talks I contacted by cell phone said the delegates remain flexible and hopeful. Jim Bitterman, CNN, Königswinter, Germany.
Governor Frank O'Bannon is eyeing funds for state universities to help pull Indiana out of its economic problems.
Ball State would lose $9.2 million over the next 2 years if the plan is approved. NewsCenter reporter Ben Piney explains more.
Governor Frank O'Bannon is proposing large budget cuts that could directly influence Ball State's campus as a whole. But caucus chairman for business affairs Jeff Linder says Ball State's administration is doing all that it can to stop budget cuts.
It would be our intent and hope that we can work with the governor's office, legislators, to avoid the cuts. If we have the cuts, they would be a serious problem.
Linder says if it does come to cuts, that building repairs, new technology, and even tuition could be affected.
So those are the potential cuts, but it's still early. The legislature will be going in session in about another month, and we're hoping to find ways where the state's financial problems can be addressed without cutting back on what's done for higher education.
Boy, the rain has been dropping heavy today, with so could the money coming into Ball State. But Jeff Linder for Business Affairs said budget cuts from the state will not affect new construction on the new music building here on the corner of Riverside and McKinley.
Around the state, other universities could also feel the pinch. Indiana University is looking to lose $55 million and Purdue $50 million over the next 2 years. John Shaner joins us now with weather.
More
First
November,
forecast.
more November-like today.
November Rain. That was an
That's
old
right.
Guns N' Roses song, right?
Really a reality check, huh?
Definitely. Much different than we had a couple weeks ago. Rain is in the forecast and it's sticking around. Quick look at your Indiana radar showing it's just starting to fall here in Muncie over the past hour or so, and it's going to continue overnight and through most of the day and through Friday. I'll let you know when it's going to end a little later on.
Okay, thanks, John. Well, after almost a year and a half, we will finally see the finishing touches put on Ball State's bell tower. Some of the Schaefer Bell Tower's bells will go up tomorrow. Officials hope to have the bells up in time to play Christmas carols for the holidays. They'll also chime on the hour and half hour. Ball State will host a ceremony to officially present the bell tower this spring.
A Ball State student was shot at 2 a.m. this morning on College Avenue. That story will be in the Ball State Daily News tomorrow. Also, how is Ball Memorial Hospital dealing with anthrax anxiety? Also, the Daily News will have an extended look at Ball State's budget and catch NewsCenter's John Shaner in-depth report tomorrow at 5:30 and 9:30 right here on NewsCenter 43. Those stories and more in tomorrow's edition of the Ball State Daily News.
John and photographer Phil Nardiello worked for a long time on this.
I know, I've seen them work forever. It seems like it's been a long
Look forward
time.
to it. Good story. Coming up, if you own an Explorer SUV, you may be involved in a lawsuit. We'll have the details. Plus, hundreds of Indiana glass workers have been on strike for 52 weeks, in fact. I'll tell you why. 52 days, sorry.
And Muncie residents now have a way to recycle hazardous household waste products. We'll have these stories and more next. A new policy adopted by Muncie schools will allow them to sponsor a charter school. Last night, the Muncie Community School Board approved a policy to put into action if the school district is asked to sponsor a charter school. The new policy requires that the applicant submit a written statement to the superintendent, who will then present the proposal to the school board within 60 days. The board will accept charter school applications until February 28th for the 2002-2003 school year.
Used motor oil, old paint, and pesticides, they certainly don't mix with the public water supply, but some Muncie residents have been throwing those materials in the trash can anyway. The city hasn't had any other way to dispose of household hazardous waste materials on a regular basis until now.
For everybody in Delaware County, that you do have, from now on, you do have a place to bring hazardous material. It's consumer friendly. You pull up, they help you unload your material and package it right there for them. It's at no charge.
The new program should be up and running by the first of the year. Smith says the Muncie Sanitary District will collect household hazardous materials like used motor oil and antifreeze. Smith says right now the Sanitary District is recycling 28% of all trash, and they'll also compost over 1 million pounds of leaves by the end of the year. You can take your hazardous waste material to East Central Recycling. It's located at 600 East Highland Avenue, just off Centennial Avenue here in Muncie.
If you own an Explorer SUV, you may be involved in a lawsuit and not even know it. A federal ruling says anyone in America who owned or leased a 1991 through 2001 model year Explorer is automatically included in the class action lawsuit. It also includes anyone who owns certain types of Firestone tires from 1990 to present. The claims involve violations of consumer protection laws, so owners won't have to appear in court.
300 Indiana glass workers might end their 52-day strike tomorrow morning. They'll meet with Indiana Glass Company officials to negotiate their contracts. The meeting will be the first between workers and management since a conference call in early October, just a couple of days after the strike.
The NCAA is giving Coors Brewing Company a slap on the wrist. The NCAA accuses Coors of giving away Final Four tickets without the NCAA's permission. They're filing a federal lawsuit against Coors for trademark infringement and unfair competition.
Texans are stomping through 8 inches of snow in some areas of the state. Officials there say at least 4 people have died in traffic accidents blamed on the season's first winter storm.
6 to 8 inches of snowfall fell on portions of Wichita Falls Tuesday night. It was enough to close some streets and overpasses until they were plowed and sanded, although the city's high-rise remains closed. By early morning, the effects of overnight snowing could be easily seen. In fact, the back of this pickup truck is completely filled with snow. Everyone woke up to a stark reality.
It's kind of cold, and it's kind of a pain in the neck, but you got to do what you got to do.
It took legal action to get Jeff Lopez out in this mess.
By order of a federal court, yeah, I'm an adventurer.
Some people simply braved the bitter cold and walked or ran to work. Once at work, some discovered they had new job descriptions: snow shoveling. The roads are icy, slick, and scary. Jonathan James discovered that after hitting a curb.
Oh, I don't want to drive on this ice like this, you know. I gotta go take my kids to daycare, take my wife to work. Woo, so, man, it's kind of gotta take it a little slow.
And speaking of snow,
Yeah, I've heard some rumors of snow flurries, possibly, maybe.
It's just that. It's rumors.
Good.
That's
Good
not
thing.
going to be the case tonight and tomorrow, but the precipitation will fall in the form of rain. We've already seen a bit of it here in east central Indiana, about 0.2 of an inch. I'll have your complete forecast coming up when NewsCenter at 9:30 continues. Good evening. If we can move ahead to the weather almanac, where we'll start out today. A rude awakening in east central Indiana, finding out that yes, it is nearly the end of November. Today's high only 41 degrees, lower than our normal high for the first time in quite a while. Today's low started out warm with some clouds and rain at 36 degrees. Yesterday's highs were very warm, mid-50s to 60 degrees all around the state. But then today, like I said, a rude awakening. Temperatures tumbled only in the low 40s all the way across the state. 41 in Muncie, 40. Struggling to hit 40 in Indianapolis and a number of other places. A little bit of sleet even fell. Not quite snow, but some sleet in other parts of the states. Again, your precipitation totals Evansville, the wet spot, and will probably continue to be over the next couple of days as more rain falls for tomorrow and Friday. Light rain right now outside in downtown Muncie. Temperature of 41 degrees. Humidity is at 96%. These temperatures will actually be on the rise a little bit. This is probably also our low temperature for tonight. Satellite view showing the big storm system. Not much clearing off to the west. We will see a few breaks of sun over the weekend, but that will be the only sun we'll see for quite a while. National radar view shows that storm system stretching all the way from the northern part of Indiana all the way back through Louisiana and back into Texas, where through this area it's all snow, but the snow won't be reaching us, and I'll explain that in just a little bit. Zooming in a little bit, Fort Wayne seeing a little heavier rain. Most of the heaviest amounts of rain will stay along this line from Evansville east of Muncie. So we'll be right on the edge of the heaviest rain area. Some of the computer models saying that we could pick up maybe another 1.5 or 2 inches before this system finally dies out. Tonight, low pressure bringing us rain showers along a stationary front. Snow back off to the west. It'll stay that way. And because the jet stream is in this trough pattern, remember a couple weeks ago we had a big ridge, but the trough bringing us those showers. Low temperatures tonight will bottom out right around 40 degrees. So your Weather Center forecast then, rain later on tonight, actually starting now and then continuing through the evening, low of 41 degrees. Tomorrow morning, rain continues when you wake up for work or 8 a.m., 42 degrees tomorrow at 8 a.m. Tomorrow, more rain, what can I say? But the snow at least won't hit us. Tomorrow's high temperatures will be right on the edge of 40s and 50s, probably in the upper 40s for the Weather Center forecast then. Tomorrow, very wet, probably at least another inch of rain, 49 degrees. And your 3-day outlook, the rain finally goes away on Friday. As we go back to the 3-day outlook, we see that 53 degrees and some rain showers ending on Friday. Then Saturday and Sunday will both be mostly sunny, but temperatures will be very seasonable. We won't see another warm up, so expect temperatures in the upper 40s for the weekend.
Might be staying cold for good this time, huh?
It could be.
Okay, thanks, John.
Andy Carlson up next with sports. What you got for us?
That's correct. A couple big ACC and Big Ten matchups. Plus, we'll take a look at two Ball State guards who made Maui shine even brighter last week. Don't change that channel. Sports is coming your way. No, it's not March yet. The college hoops are in full swing with some great games taking place tonight. Number 17, Michigan State, battling number 8, Virginia. Go to some highlights. Court's a little damp here, as you'll see a little later on tonight. Virginia up early. Roger Mason with the dish to Jermaine Harper. Virginia up 10 at the time. Michigan State trying to come back, but they're not going to get a chance.
Based on the conditions of the floor, which cannot be changed by mutual agreement of the coaches, the game officials, and the administration, the game must be postponed.
The field is wet because the ice beneath it melted. Normally an ECHL hockey team plays in the arena in Richmond. And IU in action with North Carolina tonight. Currently, IU's leading the Tar Heels 39-30. That'd be great to see them get a win, push North Carolina to 0-3. And, well, we're supposed to go to a Pacers graphic, but we won't do that instead. Pacers are up 39-29 over the Nuggets in the second quarter. Well, with victories over two top 5 teams and giving Duke a run for its money in last week's Wowie and Maui Invitational, the Ball State men's basketball team has been thrusted into the national spotlight. AP writer Jim O'Connell believes Ball State is no fluke.
And to them sneaking up on anybody. Everyone now knows that when Ball State comes in the building, you're facing one of the better teams in the country. So that's the only thing they lost out of it. But as Coach Buckley will tell you and anyone else will tell you, they'll gladly give that up for what they had this weekend because it was one of the best 72-hour stretches a team ever had in college basketball.
Now, 16th ranked Ball State came up big with big plays from everyone last week, but especially two of its point guards, P.D. Jackson and Chris Williams. NewsCenter reporter Ricky Summer takes a closer look at the dynamic duo.
P.D. Jackson, Chris Williams lays it in.
The Ball State men's basketball team has found two shining stars in guards Patrick Jackson and Chris Williams.
They're great together. I think they give each other confidence.
This dynamic duo has been terrorizing opponents, making it hard for defenders to stop these two offensive threats.
I mean, we just have that good chemistry together right now. He's a good shooter, I'm a good shooter. I'll find him, he'll find me, and I mean, I just think we work well together.
With these Bombers launching three-pointers for the Cardinals, this team is tied for first in the nation with 11 three-pointers made per contest.
You shoot a lot of shots, shoot a lot of threes, you know, and both of us have a lot of confidence out there to have the ability to make any play.
Making plays hasn't been a problem for these two. Jackson is averaging just over 22 points, while Williams is averaging close to 18 points per contest. However, Coach Buckley knows how much these two are helping their teammates out.
They can get people more open shots because the defense has to spend their time focusing on them.
Jackson and Williams are quickly becoming one of the best backcourts in college basketball.
We can go against any guards in the country, stack up with them, and be just as good as them.
As good a start as this team has had to the season, these two are hoping to lead the Cardinals to bigger and better things. Reporting for NewsCenter, I'm Ricky Simler.
Well, you can catch the backcourt, the front court, the bench, and hey, Charlie Cardinal, Friday night at 7 in action against Elon at Worthen Arena. Well, what are you doing after New Year's Day? If you're like me, you probably don't have too many plans except regain your voice, and after watching the cornucopia of college bowl games. For Ohio State's Steve Bellisari, however, he'll be heading to jail. Bellisari pleaded no contest Wednesday to a drunken driving charge and will serve 3 days in jail after the Buckeyes play in the Outback Bowl on January 1st. Judge William Powlett suspended Bellisari's driver's license for 6 months, fined him $350, put him on probation for 2 years, and sentenced him to 180 days in jail, then suspended all but 6 of those days. The 21-year-old captain may start in the Outback Bowl unless New Year's Eve calls his name, and, well, you know what happens then. It's a wrap for sports tonight. And Ricky, how about him shooting that basket?
How many takes, huh?
An inside source told me 22.
22.
But I'm just speculating.
He should be here to defend himself.
He just likes to show off. He's a big show off.
It was a good shot.
Okay, but 22 takes.
Coming up, John Shaner will be back with a final look at your forecast.
Stay with us.
Let's look at the forecast, John.
Let's do that, shall we? Tonight, a little bit of rain started to fall. It's going to get heavier as the night progresses. Low down to 41 degrees. Tomorrow morning, the story continues. Rain continues. Temperature of 42 degrees, then a high of 48 tomorrow. Rain ending finally on Friday. Saturday and Sunday look to be very nice.
And no snow in that forecast.
Not yet.
All right.
Thanks, John. Well, it wasn't delivered UPS or FedEx, but instead a horse-drawn carriage made a special delivery to the White House today. The official White House Christmas tree has arrived. This year's tree is an 18-foot concolor fir, fresh from the mountains of central Pennsylvania. The fir has a silvery blue color. The First Lady says this year's Christmas theme will be home for the holidays. The tree will be decorated with miniature replica houses from all 50 states. So do you think the leader of the free world actually has to decorate his own Christmas tree?
Obviously not.
Doubtful.
I don't know. Before we go tonight, kind of the end of an era, I would say. For the past 4 years, we've seen Kylie up here at the anchor desk, and this is her last time. She's moving on to a different market. Andy Carlson for 2 years. He's moving on after that. And even John Shaner here is taking a leave of absence. So
you're going to be all alone.
I'm sure they'll find some replacements. So, but hey, we'll miss you guys.
Thank you.
And
we'll
Doug
miss you
Moon
too.
as well. Doug Moon in the control room.
Yes, he's our director. Does a wonderful job.
Exactly.
And he's doing an internship as well, and then he'll move on to some market somewhere.
Yep.
I'm sure of it.
Confident.
Big group hug afterwards, guys.
And Andy as well. We'll see you. Good luck to all of you guys.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5:30.